Sydney Sweeney is interested in joining the MCU, and there is one MCU casting decision that makes this possible. Sweeney recently made her Marvel debut in Madam Webb as Julia Cornwall, aka Spider-Woman. Unfortunately, her superhero introduction didn't go well as Madam Webb bombed at the box office and was torn apart by critics. It's also unfortunate that she won't get the chance to interact with other MCU heroes as Madam Webb takes place in Sony's Spider-Man universe alongside characters like Venom and Morbius. Despite Madam Webb's poor performance, it may not be the last time audiences see Sweeney's Spider-Woman. In a recent interview with comicbook.com, Sweeney was asked if she would consider returning to Marvel if she could share the screen with Zendaya, who plays MJ in the MCU's Spider-Man films. Sweeney responded, "Oh, my God, yeah, that'd be so cool." Sony characters have jumped to the MCU before, but one MCU casting decision indicates that Sweeney could be a permanent part of the MCU if she wanted to be. Sydney Sweeney's MCU role can be similar to J.K. Simmons' return as J. Jonah Jameson. J.K. Simmons played J. Jonah Jameson in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. He delivered such an iconic performance as the character that it's almost impossible to imagine anyone else playing the chaotic leader of the Daily Bugle. When Jameson made his MCU debut in Spider-Man: Far From Home, audiences were elated to see that Simmons was still playing the role, although with a slightly different look. He still had the mustache but now had a bald head and screamed his conspiracy theories in a more podcast-like setting. Jameson also returned for No Way Home, where he had a more prominent role. While this casting decision was obvious to Marvel, it's more significant than one might think. It means that the same actor can play the same character in another universe as long as some minor changes show their variants of each other. If Marvel wants to cast Sweeney in the MCU, the studio could follow a similar trend. She can be different from her Sony counterpart, and audiences can still comprehend that they're not the same person. Sweeney's MCU character could also correct a strange Madam Webb change. Julia Cornwall at hospital in Madam Webb. In Madam Webb, Sweeney played Spider-Woman who had a slight change from her comic book origins. Sweeney's character was named Julia Cornwall, while Spider-Woman's name in the comics is Julia Carpenter. It's unclear why Sony made this change, but the MCU could switch her last name back to Carpenter, which could also explain how she's a variant of the Madam Webb version. Audiences would love to see Sweeney join her Euphoria co-star in the MCU, and the multiverse could make that a possibility, but with some minor changes to Sweeney's character.